Hello and welcome back on my channel. Thank you so much for joining me again for
Cozy Mystery Edition!
If you're new here, hi, my name is Cece and I came up with the idea of Freebook Friday because I wanted to combine two things. First of all, I wanted to find a way to collaborate more with other amazing content creators and instead of just giving them a shout out, give them a little bit of screen time on my channel. And the other thing is I wanted to kind of prove that you can read without spending money. Let's see how that's going so far. Without further ado, I just wanted to introduce to you today's guest. Hi!
Hi, I'm Casey from Books Before Death. I'm one half of the channel. There's two of us.
Awesome. Did you want to share anything else about your socials? Anything like your favorite, like your reading preferences or something?
Yeah, sure. I am Casey, as I said. I will read anything. And Bree is my other half on the channel. She reads mostly fantasy, but will also give other things a try. We're currently hosting a year-long Cosmere read-along. If you're not familiar, Brandon Sanderson's adult fantasy work is considered in the Cosmere, and we're reading everything from the Cosmere this year. One book a month. There are like 1 or 2 months where there's 2 books, but we tried to spread it out as well as we could.
I think you did an awesome job with spreading it out. I love it, and I love the community that has started to form around this. Even though I have not been able to catch a live show live, I love the whole thing. So thank you for setting that up. And if you're interested in reading Brandon Sanderson, now is the time.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to join our Discord, we have a great group of people on there who are always chatting, and there's different like chapter things, so you're not gonna spoil yourself. It's totally safe to join our Discord if you haven't read anything yet. So yeah,
totally awesome. Well, let's just jump right into discussing the book that we read together. We read Cappuccinos, Cupcakes, and a Corpse by Harper Lynn. Basically, it's a book about a woman who has her successful life in a big city, coming back to a her small hometown. So pretty much the setup of what I feel like 90% of Hallmark movies and most of the cozy murder mystery series, where the main character is not like an old person, like a really old person. In this small town, she is running the coffee shop, and that is why the reference to the title with like cappuccino, cupcakes, and a corpse. Then a death happens, and she goes and for some reason, wants to try and solve it. And that's pretty much the shortest description I think I can make without going into any spoilers.
Yeah, probably.
Let's jump in. Let's start chatting about the characters. What did you think of the characters?
I liked the characters. I just looked up her name to double check. Her name's Francesca. I liked our main character, Francesca, and kind of our secondary character that was like her almost love interest was Maddie. I liked them both. I did feel like they were both like almost fully fleshed out characters.
Right.
Like there was a lot that we didn't get into about them. Like she kept referencing a life that she had in New York City, but we never really heard much about it or anything like that.
Yeah. Very true. And I honestly did enjoy the way that the characters were written. I enjoyed a lot of the aspects and the personalities, but I also felt like you could have gone one step further. I enjoyed the character traits in general. I think that they match really well, and I did not think that they were over the top or too much cliche, even though there's some cliches in the overall setup. I felt like the author was playing a little bit with cliches and then not going there, and I tend to like that a lot. Like she's hinting towards a cliche, like you just mentioned, it's the almost love interest, it's the almost this, it's the almost that, and I kind of enjoyed that aspect.
Yeah, I also, I did really enjoy them as characters. I will say I really enjoyed them together more than anything.
Yes.
Like the scenes when they were together bantering or talking or like laughing and stuff were definitely better when they were apart.
Yeah. I think that there were a couple of characters introduced throughout the book that I felt like were very, very flat, because they were just pawns in the game, so to speak, in like the storyline. But I don't mind that, but I can see how somebody else could potentially care about side characters being introduced that are very flat.
Yeah, I will say it is the first book in like a long series,
True.
so I will give the author that. I'm sure they're fleshed out in further books.
Very true, very true.
It is a pretty short book to begin with. You can't do much in like 250 pages or something like that. It was pretty short.
Yeah, and I read it really, really quickly. I was expecting the normal reading amount for 250 pages. For me, would be maybe around 4 hours, and I think I read it in 2.5. And also the Amazon, you know, when you open the ebook on Kindle, it says what the average reading time for the book is. It said something like 2 hours 50, and that does not really match with a book that has over 200 pages. And my reading pace was a lot quicker than other books. So I was wondering if the page count is off for some reason. So in my mind, it has less than 200 pages.
Yeah, it might be. Some of the Kindle books I've noticed can be either too long or too short than what it is. It only took me 2 hours to read.
Yeah, that absolutely resonates with my experience. So how did you like the plot?
I think my favorite part of the plot was how she like accidentally stumbled into like looking into the mystery.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, oh, I'm not going to look into it. I'm definitely not going to look into it. I'm just going to write all this information down and give it to the police. And then she didn't do that. She just kept gathering information and just...
Well, she
and
did go to the police at some point, but...
She did. At one point, she did go to the police, but it was quite a few days before she did that.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So one thing that I have to say about the plotline is that I'm not a person who has read like a gazillion cozy murder mysteries. But from my understanding, a lot of people who enjoy reading these cozy murder mysteries, especially the ones that you can read like in like one cozy evening in front of a fire or something, they kind of enjoy trying to guess who done it, you know? And this would not be possible in this book, I feel like, because some of the things that we're following along are only introduced later, at a later stage. So you can follow along with some clues and you can follow along with some ideas. So for example, something like you could guess who, the way the person has been killed, or has it been a murder or not, and or potentially, you know, you can guess some parts of the plot line, but I think that a lot of the crucial hints that you would need to actually be able to guess anything about how it's resolved is introduced very, very late.
Yeah, me too. I haven't read too many cozy mysteries, but I have read a few, and I do enjoy trying to figure out like who did it. I like when they're going through their little interview stages, and you're like, did this one do it? Did this one do it?
Yeah.
And yeah, in this book, you really can't do that. It wouldn't take away from the enjoyment for me. But yeah, it was kind of like, oh yeah, that you couldn't see that coming, but only because you really couldn't have seen it coming.
Yeah, you couldn't because there was no hints toward, like, well, I think we covered it, but
yeah, we weren't. Yeah, I think we covered it.
Yeah, it doesn't take out of my enjoyment, but I could see how it could take out of somebody else's enjoyment, and I could see how somebody would be completely disappointed with this book and rate it really, really low simply for that reason. I think that there were a few inconsistencies, or, well, not necessarily inconsistencies in the story, but inconsistencies with like real life and logic, and just a few things where I felt like the author potentially has not had a lot of experience yet before writing this one. I don't know if this was like their debut, but I feel like potentially if this book had been edited a little bit more, these things could have been fleshed out and ironed out a little bit. It's tiny little things, like for example, the Franny and Maddie going to the house and being like, okay, let's go and let's see if we have missed anything. Let's well, no, they didn't go to the house, but they sat down to talk about if they have missed anything because they had received new information and might look at the whole situation differently. And let's just go over what we have seen and what we have experienced if we had missed anything. And Betty says, okay, sure, makes sense, let's do that. And then the first question out of Rennie was, so do you have any suspects? Do you think anybody would hurt this person who died? And I was like, that was not why you sat down. You wanted to go through the story, and then they immediately go into the suspect talk. And I just felt like this was a little bit clunky in a way. It didn't feel smooth reading this, and it felt like some logical hiccups. The other thing, for example, that I would mention here is that when that one person came up and said, "Oh, here, look, this is the autopsy report that I just got from the police." I was like, "Wait, what? They're handing out autopsy reports, even if it's family or not, in an ongoing homicide investigation? That seems a little bit off. I don't know if that is done because I don't have the experience, but it felt not like something the police would necessarily do. I don't know. Am I wrong here?
I agree. I'm not sure you even get autopsy reports for like the autopsy report that we see in the book is so like full with like pictures and stuff. I don't think you even get that for just like a family member who's died of natural causes.
Yeah. And so these are the kind of things in the plot line where I felt like the author could have gone another way, but chose to go this way, potentially because of inexperience.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know anything about this author.
But yeah, that kind of is a blurry line between plot and writing style. So let's just jump straight into the writing style overall. Any other thoughts on the writing style?
I have some thoughts on the writing style. You already mentioned it, that some of it felt clunky, and I used that word actually in my notes for the dialogue. A lot of their dialogue felt stiff or clunky or like not natural.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like especially the first half of the book, it felt like a very new author that hadn't been edited and that needed to still refine their craft of writing. It just felt a little bit amateurish, and I can see how that could also take out of a reader's enjoyment. I do have to say it wasn't bad enough to bother me 100% to stop reading. I've had some really bad writing where I was like, I can't go on, I cannot read this. This did not happen here, but it did take me out of the reading experience and be like, stop. This is weird writing.
The narration, the like itself and descriptions and stuff was like okay to me. It wasn't amazing, but it was like good. It was solid. But yeah, the dialogue I couldn't get past. It does bother me a lot more than I think I realized, that the dialogue thing. I probably would have put this book down if we weren't reading it for this video.
Yeah.
It does get a lot better in the second half of the book, I will say, but that first half is a little rough at points.
And I completely understand how this is a major point for some people. A little bit amateurish, I cannot read it, and that's absolutely fine. So I think this it's just an important point in knowing what bothers you and what doesn't bother you. I just wrote how I felt it was so weird when they, in the very beginning, were like, oh, let's go and see if anything's missing, and all they do is sit down to drink coffee. And you immediately know the way that this is written. This is like such a, I don't know, in this moment I was like, oh, this gives me like all the clues I need to solve like a gazillion things in this.
Yeah, it was written very strange, and I don't know, it's just something about it was just like uncomfortable to me. Like if my parent had just died, I would not go into their kitchen and make coffee.
Yeah.
It was just a weird situation to begin with.
Yeah, it was completely off. And this is also one of the things that I noted that are in between like plot and writing style, where I think that an editor would have absolutely ironed that out a little. And I think that there would have been ways around it. What is it that you liked best about this book?
I think there's two things I liked about this book a lot, and it was that like almost romance subplot. It was very subtle, but it was still really cute. I liked their bickering over who was going to pay for dinner and everything.
Oh, you did?
I did. I thought it was cute.
I did not like that at all. I was like, is that supposed to be charming? That was so weird. It's like, I can pay for it myself. I know you can, but you won't. It's like, I don't know, it just felt so off to me in a way. But I love that you mentioned it as something that you enjoyed the most. It just shows how different taste is. And that's one of the reasons why I love doing these reviews together, because I love how you can love something that feels off to me.
Yeah, well, I'm a big romance reader, so I really love like those little romance subplots.
Yeah, I did not get major romance vibes from this at all, and this whole paying for dinner just irked me because it felt like, is the author trying to put some feminist spruce in there whilst at the same time writing this like romantic gentleman? Is that like the intention that the author is trying to do? I didn't know what the author was trying to do here, and it just felt like, okay, you thought about this like a gazillion times. It's enough now.
I think it was just very familiar to me because it's something my friends and I will joke about. Like, no,
okay.
I'll buy you coffee or whatever. You know, like you can get it next time, and then
You don't.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I get that. And I have that with my friends as well. Things like then just dropping money into their purse while they're paying because they deny you paying, and like all the bickering back and forth with friends. I see that now that you're saying it. It just probably felt weird because I didn't know, is this supposed to be like romantic or what is the author's point? But now that you're saying it this way, I think with friends, I see that. Yeah, it's quite realistic, I guess.
Yeah, because it was, you know, they were friends, like childhood friends first, so it just like, it made sense to me that they would just be like bickering over like stupid stuff like that.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Was that already your second thing, or did you have another thing that you liked best?
Oh, no, I did have another thing. I really liked the setting of it. I liked that she kept mentioning that she could smell the sea breeze. It's one of my favorite things, to be able to smell like the salt on the air from the sea. I live really close to the coast too.
Oh, I miss that so much. I want to go to the ocean so bad and have that feeling. And every time that I read something like this or a character going to the beach, I'm like, oh, I want to go too.
I know, it's like, ugh, I want to go to the beach so bad. We had a store recently that came from the ocean, and so you could smell the salt on the air.
Wow.
And that's always just like the best.
How far do you live from the sea?
I'm in Rhode Island, so I am like right there.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. I envy you for being close to the sea.
Yeah, I'm very close. Maybe a few dozen miles, I don't know.
Awesome. It was a cute setting, but honestly what I enjoyed the best was the role of the police in this book, because I feel like in a lot of those murder mysteries where we have an amateur trying to solve it, the police is oftentimes pictured as like these stupid people who cannot solve it for the life of them, and that give out all the information that's needed, like the autopsy report. That's the only thing where I was like, yeah, you're not doing that. But what I enjoyed here is a lot is that the police actually scolded our main character not only once about not going and trying to solve it, because there's a reason we have trained professionals doing it, because you can do a lot of things wrong. You can ruin somebody's reputation, and I felt like that was really, really well done. I actually wrote down the quote because I love this so much, because I felt like this is underrepresented in this type of book. The police pretty much said to our main character, there's a reason why we don't just leave it to civilians to solve crimes. It's hard. It takes training. A lot can go wrong, and you can ruin someone's life by accusing them of a crime. And I felt that was brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah, I will say it was refreshing to have the police not just bumbling around. But also, you know, I'm in the US right now, so the cop thing was like, can we just not?
I understand that there's a whole political and other thing with like cops in the US, but we're just speaking about solving a crime here.
Yeah.
The way that cops are pictured in these murder mysteries, I don't think has anything to do with what they're being, with the political discussion that's ongoing right now, like at all. They're just pictured as people who do not see the clues, who are not following the clues, who are not doing their job pretty much at all in solving the crime. And in this book, it was pretty much like, who do you think we are? What do you think we're doing? We are here, sitting here. We are doing our job. So you do not have to go and do this, because you could actually do something really bad whilst having really good intentions. And I also liked how the police spoke very respectfully to her and saying, I know you have good intentions, but this can really backfire. So please stop. I mean, it didn't mean she stopped, but I enjoyed that part of how the police was pictured, because I feel like that's much closer to the truth than we see in a lot of murder mysteries.
Yes.
Okay, so what is it that you did not like as much?
Well, I feel like we already talked about this mostly, but mostly just like the writing style. The dialogue was the thing that really just threw me out of the story so much.
Yeah, and I think I agree that it's not something that would have completely stopped me from reading, because it wasn't bad enough, but it was bad enough for me to call it out as one of the things that bothered me the most. And then these little logical flaws where you're like, does that make sense now? Where I just feel like an editor would have really benefited this book.
Yeah, just someone to be like, that doesn't quite work.
Right, exactly. So overall, what rating did you end up giving this book?
I ended up giving it like a 2.5, 3-star rating.
Yeah, I'm in a similar space. In the beginning, I was more towards like the 2.5. In the end, I was leaning more towards the 3 stars. I felt the writing style grew a little bit stronger, and I enjoyed how the relationship grew stronger. And then the way that the police was portrayed then gave it another star for me, because they didn't just feel like, usually the police is portrayed in these books kind of like adults in Disney movies, just like stupid adults, doing stupid things.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. And it was a major plus for me that this was realistic in this regard. And this is why I ended up giving it 3 stars.
Yeah, it did feel much more realistic than just like some guys in the background just vaguely bumbling about.
Yeah. Like, kind of like the Home Alone gangsters. That's how I usually feel about police in this type of book.
That's true. That's normally what they are.
Should we go into the verdict? 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay. So I gave it a read it. Obviously with contingencies. We talked about what I feel like your reading taste needs to be. So if you want to guess along whodunit, or if you are very turned off by an amateur's writing style, this is probably not for you. But if you just want like a cozy, cute little mystery that you can read in 2 hours, I think it's go and read it. Why did you choose?
Okay, I would say pass on it, except for people that are really into cozy mysteries and don't mind not being able to guess. But I feel like that's such a small sliver of people. Like, it's a fun cozy mystery, but I feel like there are better cozy mysteries out there.
So you're just saying prioritize a better one.
Yeah, I'm just saying, look for a better one. But, it was cute. I read it in 2 hours, so...
Yeah. No, that makes total
Not mad
sense.
about it.
All right. Then this is it for today. I hope that you enjoyed our little chat about this cozy murder mystery. If you want to be in one of these in the future, reach out to me. I am happy to read pretty much any free ebook that is available out there with you. And if you have a free ebook that you would love for me to review with somebody, but you don't really want to be a part of this, just drop me the title in the comments and I would love to just put it on my list. If you have a really good recommendation for what's something you would potentially consider a 4 or 5 star free ebook, please send it my way. I'm still looking for that one amazing one. I really want to prove that you do not need money to read great books, but so far I think everything has been at 3 stars, so please send good recommendations my way. And yeah, if you don't want to do it, I'm always happy to have you again, if you would be up for it.
Yeah, I would definitely come back. This is a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, and I feel like I enjoy these books a lot more when I'm chatting about them afterwards as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and I can think of some good romances that I think are free on Amazon. I'll have to look into it and let you know later.
Awesome. Yeah, I would love that. Before you leave, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell for all the new Freebook Fridays that are upcoming. And once you've done that and commented, go over to Books Before Death, hit the subscribe button and watch all the videos. And once you're done, I'm sure that the next Freebook Friday is up. All right, so thanks again for doing this with me. That was a lot of fun. And
yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right, then I hope to see you again on my channel real soon. Until then, bye.
Just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever?